What is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon. We are back doing another rugby preview. This one is going to be game 2 of the first round of the Autumn Nations Cup. It's going to be Italy versus Scotland. We've got a lot to talk about. I'm going to jump in as Italy, make it a little bit tougher for me for the game in the background. Let's get into this. Let's talk about these teams. Here we are. So Tommaso Allan's going to get us underway. Not that he's been playing for Italy for an awfully long time, but we'll kick off anyway. So let's begin by starting talking about this Scotland team. Scotland have had a very, very impressive Six Nations. They are currently 4 wins in a row throughout the Six Nations, and some of their sort of semi-practice games that they've been doing. They have been very, very consistent and are getting better and better every year. It's not that many years ago since they used to just play for 5th place in the Six Nations, and they're looking like a more and more dangerous team every year. This Scotland team, I'll chuck it on screen now for you guys. This is a very aggressive Scotland team. They've gone down to very strong, very quick players, all of which have great capabilities, even including the forwards. Let's go and chuck in the forwards here. So Rory Sutherland, Stuart McInally, Xander Fagerson. What a front row. These 3 players in the front 3 that have been performing very, very well. The Scottish scrum has come on leaps and bounds, and these 3 are some of the big reasons why it's doing so well. There's far fewer penalties coming from scrum. Scotland used to be really poor at giving away penalty at scrum time. 4 and 5, Scott Cummings and Johnny Gray. Richie Gray is just not on the scene anymore, but Scott Cummings has been playing very, very well. Johnny Gray, I think, got 3rd highest line-outs in the tournament stolen. Don't quote me on that, but I think he was pretty high on that. He's doing very, very well in the line-outs. He's a big boy. I don't know how tall he is. He's got to be up there in the 6'6", 6'7" region. He's a very, very tall lad. Very strong player. Got a lot of time for Johnny Gray, doing very well. The 6, 7, 8 for Scotland. Well, this is just what an impressive lineup here. Jamie Ritchie, who I think if you went back about 4 years, very few people would have actually have heard of him in the international scene anyway. And he has come on so well. A couple of issues with discipline, does get himself into a couple of fights, does get himself onto the receiving end of a few too many penalties for my liking, but his jackling ability is unbelievable. He's a very, very strong ball carrier, and then to duel that up with the likes of Hamish Watson's going to be there with him at 7. Again, they're basically the same player playing 2 different positions. Very, very strong ball carriers, very, very quick runners, brilliant at jackling, and then Blade Thompson to finish them off. Another superb player. These Scottish forward 8 are so good currently and are working so consistently across the team very, very well. They're turning up every single game, and to be honest, I don't see any chinks in that 8 at all. There's no one that I could point out as being probably the weakest. They're all playing extremely well, and Scotland are going to be coming into this game feeling very, very confident with a team with that front row going up against the Italy 8, who of course love their forward gameplay. They're going to be feeling very, very confident with their Scottish forwards. Alright, looking at the backs for this Scotland team, Ali Price doing very, very well at that number 9. May have even have got the sort of scrum half of the tournament in the Six Nations had it not been for Dupont just being unbelievable, as he is in every single game. Ali Price has been playing very, very well. Of course, taking over from Greg Laidlaw, who was captain. He never really got a lot of game time. Ali Price had to step up an awful lot and has managed it. Been very, very impressed with him through the Six Nations. And I think he's going to do just as well against Italy in this game. Number 10, the big talking point for this Scotland team. Scotland in their last game against Wales lost both Adam Hastings and Finn Russell. And the big call came for who on earth can fill that 10 position when they lose 2 players as good as those 2, and it's that man right there, Duncan Weir. I haven't seen Duncan Weir in about 3 years, I don't think, play for Scotland, even though he's a very good player. He's just been kept out of the position by 2 other players, and you can tell how long it's been. Look at that for a hairstyle. I have not seen Duncan Weir in a very, very long time, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him come back. I have a lot of time for Duncan Weir. He's a very, very good player. He was sort of Finn Russell before Finn Russell was Finn Russell. That's too many times to say that name in one time. He's a very, very sort of bullet passer. He really picks passes very, very well. Very flat lines through players. Really, really liked him. The only problem, he's not been playing enough international rugby just because Finn Russell and Adam Hastings have been so consistent and so good at their jobs. He's just not had a place in the team, so it's nice to see him back. Duan van der Merwe has really looking forward to seeing him coming in on that left wing. He's a very, very quick player. I've been watching a couple of chats that he's been doing about his making his way into this Scotland team and doing very well. He's even kept Blair Kinghorn out of that 11 jersey. That shows how good he is. Blair Kinghorn doing very well at club level, but not managing to make it to the starting 15. Sam Johnson and Chris Harris, a great duo at centre. Both good strike runners straight off the rucks. They're going to be very, very useful. I can see them piercing a lot of holes in this Italy team. Darcy Graham been playing brilliantly at club level. Don't feel he's getting an awful lot of time on the ball at international, which is a bit of a shame for him. He needs a bit of room to work with, and he can just run like a lightning bolt. Unfortunately, he hasn't been seeming to get good ball recently. Hopefully he can get a bit more in this Italy game. The game should open up from a little bit. And then, of course, Stuart Hogg. We don't need to talk an awful lot about Stuart Hogg. We know the man. The man who counter-runs everything ever. And yet, for some reason, every team that plays Scotland seems to kick him the ball straight away. We'll quickly look at the replacements for the Scotland team. We've got George Turner, Ollie Kebble and WP Nell. WP Nell is probably the biggest name in that front three there going to be coming in. But a very strong replacements. They love their replacements. I think for this Italy game, they're going to want to have some good forwards coming off the bench, and that's what they've got there. Sam Skinner, Nick Haining, two very, very good players. I don't know a lot about Sam Hidalgo Klein. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Looking forward to seeing him, though. Hopefully be able to make a bit of an impact straight off the bench. James Lang has lost his centre position, which is a bit of a shame, but I don't really know how he's going to get a lot of game time in this one. They'll probably have to chuck him on just to give him some game time. Sam Johnson and Chris Harris are both 80-minuters. We'll have to see how much time he can get on. And then Blair Kinghorn. Obviously, he can play fullback. He can play on the wings. He could really fill in at fly half if he wanted to. This is a very, very strong Scottish team. And I think Italy need to be very, very worried about this team coming in. Speaking of which, let's have a look at this Italy team. So Italy, as we know, didn't have the best Six Nations, and you probably could say that for every year for the past 10 years, sadly for them. But they are improving, they are getting better. It was nice to see them get rid of some of the bigger name players, such as Parise and so on, and allowing some new blood to come into the system, trying to make that team a little bit stronger and have a little bit more depth about them. They have shown signs of some better quality. I'll chuck on screen now. It's not going to be a great deal to run through. This is basically the same team that was playing in the Six Nations. There isn't a great deal of changes here. Fischetti, Zilocci, all these people are, 1 to 3 are standard players that they have for Italy. They are a strong front row, actually, especially in terms of Italian circles. They have lost a couple of big names within recent years, so it's been nice they've been able to keep a bit of depth in their team to have a strong front three. Lazzaroni is actually a very, very good number 4. They actually have quite a good line out across the board, especially when you look back at that 6, 7, 8. You got Negri, Stain and Pelledri. Across the board in the forwards, really, they actually have quite good potential in lineouts. They don't tend to lose as many as they used to, but they definitely aren't winning as many as I would want them to against the head in terms of a lineout. Negri, Stain, Pelledri, 3 big ball carriers, 3 very big turnover players, actually. They had a couple of bad games. One was against Ireland, where I was quite surprised at how many penalties the 3 of them in total were actually giving away, considering how good they have been in the tournament. Even going back to the World Cup, they played very, very well. I'm hoping to see a little bit more of a power game, especially from people like Stain and Pelledri, who are big ball carriers. Scotland will know they'll have to put multiple people on in order to stop each of them. Going to the backs, Violi, Garbisi, a 9-10 combo that's been used a couple of times in the Six Nations. Garbisi had a very good Six Nations, actually. Was very impressed with him. Very young lad. I think he's 20 or 21. I can't remember how old he is. But he's very, very young. He's already showing some good discipline and good leadership skills at the front there. Bellini, of course, going to keep on that left wing. He seems to be very extreme. He's either not having a very good game at all or having quite an exceptional game when he can do. Canna is a very, very fast player. I was quite surprised, actually. I don't remember him being quite as quick as he has been, but watching him in that final game of the Six Nations, when he got the ball in hand at any point during the game, he was very quick and actually showed to be quite dangerous. Marco Zanon is going to take over at number 13, which is going to allow for a bit of a different play in that centre channel. Trula is going to go in at the right wing, which is a bit of a surprise. I didn't expect him to be in the start in 15 against a team like Scotland, especially knowing how well Scotland have been playing. He's another young lad. Italy seem to have been put out. They've got a mix of very experienced and very young players, so it's going to be interesting to see how they do. And then Minozzi, who actually is very, very good at fullback. I'm very impressed with some of his gameplay, especially the choice between kicking and counter-attacking. He's got some good decision-making in there. And then looking at the backs, There's some big names on this bench, actually. I think they're going to go for a 60-minute turnover to try and get some big people in. Giraldini, Ferrari, these sorts of people that will come in the front are going to re-strengthen that scrum. Italy are no longer that 60-minute team, it seems, in terms of physicality, being able to keep up with the game. That used to be what used to happen, is Italy used to drop off about that 60-minute marker. Their bench is now deep enough that they allow for new players to come in. Another big one to look at down here is that Tommaso Alan is back. He's back in the team, not starting. Garbisi has proven himself enough to not need to have Tommaso Alan jump straight back into that number 10 shirt. But I think bringing him on, again, 60th minute, bringing in some leadership skills. It's nice to see that Italy finally have two number 10s that can actually play in a game now and are both actually very competitive for that position. This Italy team is looking strong. Is it going to be able to beat Scotland? My answer's got to be no. Seeing how well Scotland played against Wales and seeing how poorly Italy came back against Ireland, followed by England, I just don't see them coming away with it. I think the Scotland team is very, very strong, considering that they're going to be going up against Italy when they've got some bigger games coming along. They want to start on a win. I think the Scotland team is going to win. I think it's going to be quite comfortable, actually. I'm going to say Scotland to win by 21. I think they'll get 3 tries in there. I think they'll start off on a very strong first half and then just sort of see the game through. There'll be some discipline that Scotland will want to show here in order to play a bigger team like France. But that's going to be my prediction for the game. If you've enjoyed this video, guys, make sure you drop it a like. And if you're enjoying this style of commentary where we chuck on a team and chuck on a game of rugby in the background, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We are going to be going across all the games in the Autumn Nations Cup, so make sure you're subscribed in order to keep up to date with all the videos as they're coming out. I will see you all next time, guys. Bye-bye.